Hi, I normally don't do videos like this, and I would hope that you guys would know that by now, but today's video is a little bit different. It is a real-time video of me breaking down a little bit of my animation process, not the whole process, just a bit of it, because um, I'm animating more, again. I know at some point in the past I said that I wasn't gonna really delve too deep into the animation thing because I really enjoy specifically storyboarding and character design and prop design and set design and stuff like that. But I've learned to appreciate all parts of the pipeline. I've learned to appreciate every level of it, from top to bottom. So first things first is I'm gonna shrink myself down a little bit because I am a little big and I want you guys to see the entire screen. Just so you know, I only have about an hour to record today, which is not a lot of time in hindsight to do this kind of thing, but it is enough to kind of break down the process in a simplistic way. Also, I will be changing out my VTuber model at some point. Not right now, but at some point soon. I will have a better speaking model, and I will have a better color palette and design and stuff like that. It's coming. Don't worry, it's coming. I might make a video about that. You never know. Okay, so you can't see. Hold on. Let me make sure you guys can see my cursor. I don't know why you couldn't see it before. Okay, there we go. You can see my cursor now. So the first thing you want to do, if you're like me and you're using Clip Studio Paint, the first thing you want to do is find out where all of your animation utilities are. So there are two places where you can find them. The first place is up here in your animation submenu. If you click it, it has a bunch of options on how you build your animation layers, how to edit your animation track, your animation curve, how you show your cells, the light table, the playback settings, stuff like that. All that is in that area. Let me actually switch to a display capture so you guys can see those submenus. Oh lord. That's huge. See, this is why I don't do videos like this, because it's a lot of prep work. It is a lot of prep work, and then you don't really get to prep everything that you want to prep, because you don't think about it until you're in the moment. Okay, I think that's better. So, boom, animation menu. It's all right here. And it has a bunch of little sub-menus that show you like animation folder, 2D camera, edit your track, which is to like copy, cut, delete, paste frames, not your layers, but the frames on the animation track. And speaking of the animation track, that is the second place that you can find all of your animation settings, which is down here. If you don't have this option, go up to your window, and then go down to animation where it says animation cells, and then click timeline. Unfortunately, I don't know what it would be in other languages, but they're all in the same place. So it'll be your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th little section down. For those of you that understand English better than you read it, it'll be the 7th section down, the second option in that section, okay? But yeah, so you have this timeline down here, and you can click the little 3-bar menu next to where it says timeline. You click that, and you'll get the same options, with the addition of hide timeline palette and show all side views palette, which is for 3D modeling. Not 3D modeling, but like 3D models. If you pull in a 3D object, this is how you can adjust it from all angles. kind of like the adjust from all angles in Blender. So back to the timeline. This is pretty much it. All of your other stuff stays the same. Your layers, where you keep your layers, your palettes, your brushes, your brush sizes, all that stuff stays the same. The only difference is the addition of the timeline, which only takes up the working area. I'm using my fingers when I should be using the cursor, which takes up the working area right here. I'm gonna go ahead and open my project. If you have been following me on like Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, blah blah blah, all that stuff, I posted this on Twitter and I was like, this is my last attack for Art Fight, and it's taking me a while because it's an animation. It's gonna take a minute. So here is the file itself. I will zoom in a little bit because I'm only working on 12 frames per second and I'm only doing 3 seconds of animation, so I can kind of zoom in a little bit, which is these two little magnifying glasses right here. Zoom in a little bit to show you guys exactly how my frames are broken down. If I can just get this thing to catch. There we go. There we go. And then I'll Control 0 so that you can see the whole thing. So this is what it looks like with all of my folders closed. If I open up my folders, it's gonna look insane. But I'm gonna open it so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I know for a lot of beginners, this is gonna look absolutely wild. I know, I'm sorry, but I will tell you everything that I can explain. Originally I wanted to do this in Procreate Dreams, but I have a serious issue with Procreate Dreams and how it functions. I really don't know what's wrong with it, that it just does not function at the efficiency that they told us it would. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But anyway, I exported all of my rough, like very, very rough beats from Dreams to a folder in my drive so I could get it off of my iPad and onto my PC. I took those and I laid them out in the animation timeline here, and I'll do a specific video on how to do that at a different time. Right now, I don't need to do all that. But that's what this layer is. It's the roughs. It has like really simple background, head position, body position, and if it was gonna scroll or not. That's all that was on there. The next section is actually the sketch, and I'm gonna turn off. No, I'm not gonna turn it off. So I will go in layer by layer. There we go. Body is actually all of the cleaned up movements with specific little like nuanced movements. So it works as my like rough sketch. Okay. I also have my number pad on my keyboard set up to help me out with this. Hotkeys are your friend. That's all I'll say. But this is what it looks like as it's moving. And then the first thing that I did was I went back in and I started doing my hair. My hair was a very important part of this because the hair generally directs the motion for me in this particular instance. So what I wanted was I wanted somebody looking up. I wanted the character to be like suddenly thinking to herself, looking up, and then seeing somebody that she really likes, and then turning and looking at her while like standing on like a very sunny, like windy day. I would have gone with a more like zoomed out approach, but I really wanted it to be focused on this character and this character alone, and not the environment and all that stuff. I didn't want to have to like overdo that because I was already taking a long time with this. But yeah, the hair was the second part, and each frame of the hair had to be different. if you look on the timeline, you could see that it has 18 frames total, and each frame is done on twos, and it's different. Like, it is a different movement each frame. And that's how I really push the fact that it's windy, is each frame has to be different. The hair has to be in a different position, because when you have a looser texture of hair, the wind is going to push that hair. And it'll put it in different places. Even that little strand of hair that fell over the shoulder when she turns is going to eventually get pushed back into the bigger mass of hair. The next thing that I did was I started working on the eyes. I really wanted to, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. I really wanted to accentuate like the emotion through the eyes. So I spent a lot more time with that than with other aspects. And this character does have a very particular eye shape, so I had to work very much within that eye shape. Which, even the final frame, the final hold, isn't the exact eye shape that this character has. It's an approximation of it, like she's smiling and her cheeks are pushing those eyes up. The next thing that I worked on was the face and overall head shape. I had a very hard time, so I had to look up a bunch of references for this. I don't know why, but lately I've been having a very hard time with profiles. Profiles have become like the bane of my existence, and I don't know why. But eventually I did kind of figure it out. I used a lot of reference, mainly from the artist Manda, AMBST. I think that's her username, AMBST. Her name is Manda. I know her as Manda. I'll link her somewhere. But she's a really cool artist. She focuses mostly on illustration and her OCs and stuff. She is the artist that does work for Strippin', if you know who that is. That's the same artist I'm talking about. So what I did was I went and I grabbed my art books. She has 2 art books, and I grabbed both of them and I looked through them, and I was like, there has to be something. There has to be something. And I eventually found a piece where she had the characters facing sideways. So I kind of like used that as a reference to kind of remind myself of the nose should be this much of the face, the lips should be this much of the face, and the chin should be this much of the face. And eventually I got it. So here I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out so you guys can see the whole head movement. With this layer, I did the head, ear, neck, and mouth, all on this one layer. And my plan is, I think I'm gonna switch up how that end smile, this end smile here, I'm gonna switch up how that looks, and I'm gonna push the sides of her cheeks up a little bit more to really push that, like, her cheeks are pushing her eyes up. Which happens to everybody at every age. It's not an age thing. Everybody does it. And then the very last thing I did was the jacket, which the jacket was not hard. It was just 2 really simple shapes. And then as it got further, you start to see more of the jacket itself. And again, the jacket is something that's moving in the wind. It's a lightweight, like Letterman style jacket, like with the windbreaker material. So it is gonna be moving in the wind as you like turn around, stuff like that. One little detail that I definitely wanted to include was when she turns here, I wanted it to have a bit of a delay, because those jackets, sometimes when you do a movement that's a little too fast, the jacket will hang in the air a little bit and then settle down on your shoulder. That happens with some materials, not all materials, but some materials, especially if they're like a looser material with a little bit of weight to them. So this is that first one where she turns and her shoulders are up, then her shoulders come down, then the jacket up. Don't be a brat. Okay, it's being a brat. I don't know why. Oh, that's why. And then the jacket settles. So turn up, jacket settle. And then the hair obviously continues to move after that. Boom, hair up, down. And the plan is, and I do have this saved up, one of the cool features in Clip Studio Paint is that you can take something and enable keyframes on it, and then you can just take the object move tool, which is this tool with the little box and the arrow, and you can just move shit. It is, once again, going to pan across towards the middle of the screen, because I really do like how that looks most of the time. Give it a second. Sometimes the playback takes a minute. I wanted it to move, but not too far. That kind of thing. Alright. The next thing that I was doing, and I went back and decided not to do it the way that I was doing it, was I have my line art layers set up. What I recommend you do, and this is just me recommending something for you to do, is you can make folders translate into frames. So you can take this layer, relabel it to whatever you label your line art layers, and then add it to a folder down here, and it'll become its own frame. Whoops. One, and then I'll rename this to what I name my line art, and I'll pop it in that frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and shrink this back down now, because we're done looking at those frames. And I'll go back and explain how to make frames and stuff like that. So so I like using Rapidograph from the Friendin brush set. I really like this brush. I like to use the size 1 because it really does just, it's smooth, it's nice. So you have your line art, then you can add another layer and make it your flat colors and put your line art under it, on top of it, whatever process you do for your coloring. I know everybody does it differently. And then you can set it to, I'm not going to do a coloring tutorial, that'll be for another day if you guys want that. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Where is it? It's a long edge. Okay. Then use this. Okay. And then, like, say you want to add a texture, use the oops brush, and I'll use green, and I'll add a texture. Right, and I'll clip it to the layer underneath. So there's 3 layers in this at this point. But those 3 layers are, this is it. This is these 3 layers. This whole frame is these 3 layers. It's not each layer is a frame. Those 3 layers are within the one frame. Because you made a frame folder. That's what I call it. I don't know what the actual terminology for it is called. I'm sorry if you guys are hearing my Discord go off. My friends are being mean to me again. But it's all one folder. So this is all one folder, and you can use layer styles and all that stuff. I would avoid layer styles that will suck up a lot of power from your program, because the more layer styles that you have, the more detail that you have, the more it's going to need to render. So I would just be a little careful about that. Not that you can't do it, I would just be a little cautious and think about it before I do it. Last but not least, let's talk about how I have my hotkeys set up to make my new animation frames, cells, and shift from frame to frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a new file, and just a new blank file, so that you guys can see. Keep it like a light gray. Doesn't have to be that big. Okay. So, first things first is you have to know what hotkey, what shortcuts you need. So I'm gonna go ahead and make you guys a small little list of the hotkeys that you might need for your project. So that is so slow. Shortcuts. The first shortcut that I recommend if you're going into Clip Studio Paint for animation, this took me a while to figure out, because I was getting really frustrated. I was like, I can't keep clicking back and forth. This is killing my arm. My shoulder hurts. My bicep hurts. All this stuff. But you want a shortcut for your play and stop. You want a shortcut for your new animation folder. You want a shortcut for your new animation cell. And you'll want one for go to next frame. And that should cover you for like the most basic things. Now, what's the difference between having these 4 shortcuts and what I have? I have 9. I do. I have 9 shortcuts. So on my number pad, if you are familiar, and I would hope that you're familiar with a keyboard at some level, and not a digital keyboard, an actual physical keyboard. If you are familiar with that, you will know that there is a part of the keyboard, and I'm going to do this on a new layer. There's a part of the keyboard called the number pad. And this is usually found on 100% keyboards or completely separate from the keyboard. Excuse me. It's usually found on the right side of the keyboard, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a number pad. Hold on a second, there's somebody at my door. Almost forgot I was still recording. Hi. Okay. So, I don't have that much time left. Let me continue. Your number pad. I am trying to remember exactly what I said before I had to pause recording. Your number pad is going to be your best friend in this situation. Like I said, I have 9 items, like, queued for my number pad. And it's what? 1, 2, 3. Let me just move this down. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Now, we want to clean this up so we can make sense of it. Your number pad is, like, at least in my opinion, it is a saving grace for any digital artist. A lot of people end up going out and spending a lot of money on something like a tour box or a, like, one of those Bluetooth mini Joy-Cons. When in reality, if you are if you're a nerdy ass gamer like me and you have 6 Joy-Cons like I do, brand new, fully functional, no drift Joy-Cons, grab one of those Joy-Cons and look up how to connect it to your computer. Boom, you have your own tour box without having to pay the tour box price. You know, you can use that and, like, do different number combinations and stuff like that. Like, you can do things with the things that you have. You can do great things with the things that you have around your house. Okay, so let's talk about which numbers I actually use. And I'm not gonna, like, number all the ones that I don't use, but I'll number the ones that I do use. So the number pad itself, number 1, 2, 3. And honestly, I should probably move my play pause button to 0, but I'm not gonna do that right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are the 9 keys that I use. Those are the 9 keys that I use to create these shortcuts here. What I'm gonna do, excuse me, oh my gosh, what is going on? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tell you which other settings I have. I'm gonna shorthand go to as GT, previous, frame, and then GT next cell and GT last. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Previous cell. And go to first frame. And then go to last frame. Okay. And each of these are useful in their own ways. Like I said, I have all of these quick shortcuts on my number pad. The first one is, and I'll do it this way we don't have to worry. Go here. And I think my 7 and 8 are what I focus on. Okay. So 7 and 3 go together, and 7 and 3 are go to next cell and go to previous cell. So 1 and 3. Oh my god, 7 and 3? 1 and 3. One is go to previous cell, and 3 is go to next cell. It'll be easier if I just do this. Hold on. 1. Let's do darker colors. 1 and 3. Go to first and last frame. I do believe. Yeah. It's gonna be 7 and 8 are gonna be my go to. 7 is gonna be go to first frame. And I'll use orange. And 8 will be go to last frame. And then 4 and 5 are go to next frame and previous frame. Now my new animation folder is my 9 key. It makes a whole new folder for all of my cells. As you can see, it popped up over here in my layers tab, but because I don't have a timeline set up down here, you don't see it. So that's my 9 key, and then new cell is my 6 key. And then my play and stop is number 2. And I'll color these in so that they match. Right, 4 and 5 are pink. 7 and 8 are orange. 9 and 3. Okay. So this is my personal shortcut layout. You don't have to do it exactly how I do it. You can do it in a way that is more intuitive for your workflow. Don't feel like you have to do it exactly how I do it. Okay? But I will show you how to do it, and then we will call this video done. If you go up here, the option used to be under edit, where you can change your preferences and shortcut keys and stuff. That used to be under edit. Clip Studio, since the drop of Clip Studio Paint 2, they have moved it into the file menu. So down here by my hat, if you look, there's a section that says preferences, privacy settings, command bar settings, shortcut settings, modifier key settings. What we want to focus on is shortcut settings. So you open that up, and then you'll get this window where you can change all of your shortcut keys. What you want to do is you want to go to the menus. So in this little drop down, go to menu commands, and then go to animation and open that up. And you're going to look for these. You're going to look for these items. The play stop, the new animation folder, all that. You're going to look for those things. So you have new animation layer. You want to look for animation folder, not 2D camera, not audio. You want animation folder. That's going to be your 9 key. Then new animation cell is your 6 key. Then go to next frame. Go to next frame, go to previous frame, go to first frame, and go to last frame are all going to be in the same area. So it'll be called go to start, go to end, go to previous frame, go to next frame. So these two down here are different. And I will adjust them so that if I like share this in the community tab, it'll be adjusted so that you guys can like one-to-one copy it, okay? But yeah, 7 is go to start, 8 is go to end, 4 is previous frame, 5 is next frame. Then if we scroll up, you have your last couple of numbers. So number 2 is play stop, which is right here, so you can see. And then 1 and 3 are select previous cell, select next cell. Jeez. So that's how I have mine set up. Those are my most used items since I do frame to frame animation. The keyframe options here are not exactly usable like in other programs. Keyframes are usually for like if you do a run cycle and you don't want to like draw every single frame where the character is moving. Like you don't want to draw your character. Hold on, I'm gonna cancel this. You don't want to draw your character multiple times going from here to here. So you don't want to do like sorry, I'm doing my best. Like you don't want to do all of that, right? So you can do a frame to frame where you're just drawing your character in position A and then your character again in position B, right? And then you can have it loop the animation. You can have it loop the animation and then use a keyframe to take it from point A to point B. Right? That's what the keyframes are for, as far as I know. That's how I get that pan in this piece. Let's turn this off. That's how you get that cool panning effect, where the character is moving from point A to point B. Point A, point B. A, B. And you don't lose your frames or your movement or anything. And that's what I understand the keyframes are for. I know this was kind of disjointed. I really do apologize for it. I didn't have an idea for this week's video. Originally, I wanted to start sharing like the background work for the game that my team is developing, but I didn't have the energy in me to work on that. But I did have the energy in me to kind of quickly explain how I do what I do. So thank you so much for watching. I hope it was useful for you in some way, shape, or form, and I hope you guys take this information and go forth and create something amazing. That's what I want. I want you guys to succeed, and I want to succeed right alongside of you. So thank you for spending this 40 minutes with me. I will see you guys next week for a new video, and I hope you have a great weekend. Later.